Brian has been a member of Alec Henley and Associates since 1979. He has 4 professional designations: the CFP, CLU, CH.F.C, and the Family Enterprise Advisor. Brian has been very involved in the industry over the years. He's past chair of CALU. He's a former national director of Advocates, TFAC, and he served on the board of the local Advocates chapter and has been very involved in making sure that CE and educational events occur in the St. John's area. He's past president of the Royal St. John's Regatta Committee and of the Personal Credit Counseling Service. He's a past director of the St. John Board of Trade, chair of Flight 491 Legacy Fund, funding chair of the Basilica Heritage Foundation. He also has been a director of the Bank of Canada. He was appointed to the Bank of Canada on March 1st, 2008, and served on that board for 6 years until 2014. He served on the executive committee, the corporate governance committee. He was a member of the capital projects committee. So as you might imagine, Brian is really a very well-rounded individual. His experience and volunteer activities are not restricted just to insurance. Good morning, Brian, or good afternoon in St. John's.
Good morning, Lawrence.
Thanks for joining us. Brian, tell me how you got started in the business. Your dad was in the business, but that couldn't have been the only reason.
Well, I got started in the business. I did a co-op commerce program at Memorial University, and I thought I was going into the accounting business. And I did the co-op program, and I worked for Pete Marrick Mitchell in Toronto. And I determined that accounting was too boring for me. And because of my family background, they wanted me to audit the Aetna Canada, the Excelsior Lifes, the National Lifes, et cetera, et cetera. And I didn't find that very interesting. So I had a conversation with my mother and my father, because my father came from a family enterprise, as did my mother. And we came to an understanding that I would come working with the firm, that there would be no fuss, and that if things worked out, fantastic. But if they didn't, there would be no falling out within the family. And I have been here for a reasonably long period of time right now.
So, yeah, I guess 1979 is more than a couple of weeks ago now. So tell me, how did you structure the business at first, and how has it changed over the years?
Well, the business has grown dramatically over the years, but when we started, my father already had a very successful business going, but I was expected to do business development and get educated, because we are big believers in professional development. And then I had to learn how to prospect. I had to learn how to qualify prospects. I had to get ready for the answer of being no, the no answer. And so that's how it started. I took a couple of years, probably a little slow off the start in the first couple of years. But eventually it mushroomed, and we've grown dramatically now. And we really run the company effectively with 5 divisions. We're still a team, but we have a very large group life and health benefit consulting practice. We have one of the largest group retirement practices in the country. We have a very large high net worth clientele business. Then we have what I call the corporate individual side, individuals, families, small, medium-sized businesses, family enterprises. And then we have what we call it other. It's probably not the most professional sounding term, but we have some specialty areas that we deal with. And these are areas that you don't deal with every day of the week or every month of the year, but they're niche markets that we deal with.
I imagine that you didn't just start with all of these clients. You must have started by learning the business. What sort of client did you start with?
Well, I did the traditional route many years ago. I started in the family business. I worked many evenings doing appointments with young couples or individuals. And we were doing a financial needs analysis before most people knew what financial needs analysis was all about, because it was my father's methodology. And we always worked on do what's in the client's best interest. And I advise our team today, as I was advised, that if you take care of your client's best interest, you will never have to worry about your bank account. And then, Lawrence, what we did was, because of lifestyle, I didn't want to be working 4 or 5 nights a week till 10 o'clock every night in the family market, even though I still, to this day, like doing business with families, particularly younger ones. But so what we did was we gradually moved me out into developing business in the small, medium-sized businesses, whether it be for corporate purposes like key person, buy-sell agreements, but also searching out clientele potential in the group life and health marketplace, or the group retirement marketplace, or in long-term investment businesses. And so that grew. And then I attended a lot of different professional development sessions, and one that I attended many, many years ago was with the Kinder brothers. For anyone that's on the line, that's so old, they were a hot commodity in those days. But one of the things that they suggested was get outside of your comfort zone. So what I did was I went after some bigger types of businesses, was lucky enough to get hired by these people to do so. So our clientele is small, medium-sized businesses. We have a large family enterprise network. Some are 5th and 6th generation families we're dealing with now. But we also deal with companies that are on the Toronto Stock Exchange, the Vancouver Stock Exchange, the New York Stock Exchange, the London Stock Exchange, and a number of other European exchanges. And we developed a niche in a couple of industries where we started picking up their non-US benefit work or their non-European benefit work. And some of these companies are very large businesses, and we've had some of these companies now for 30 plus years.
A lot of your clients are not simply St. John's or Newfoundland and Labrador companies or individuals. How do you find dealing with people nationally and internationally from St. John's? Forgetting about the fact that the air flight connections in the past year have gone to heck.
Well, first of all, you have to remember that Newfoundland is the center is in the middle of 2 of the biggest markets in the world, Europe and North America. So it's 3.5-hour flight for me to Dublin, and it's 3 hours and 50-minute flight for me to Toronto. With our US connections and our Caribbean connections, they want to know that they're dealing with people that are competent, take care of their best interests, and know what they're doing. They're not worried that you work in the right building, in the right city, you're members of the right club, et cetera, et cetera. So our expertise has been based on that we are known for our quality of our service, and we take care of our clients. So we don't win the popularity contests with the executive VPs of financial institutions or presidents and CEOs, but we normally win the respect contest, because we truly take care of our clients' best interest. And we compete with some of the international on the group benefits, group retirement, and executive compensation side. We compete with some of the international and national firms. And quite frankly, we love to hear 1 or 2 of them are in on a certain account when we go in to take a look at them, because they are not working as teams anymore. They are one office. They say every office is as good as all other offices are, but that's not correct. And you're only as good as the people you have. And we've been blessed to put together a good team. And, I have people with us for 27 years, 22 years, 14 years. Um, uh, and it's worked well. But the difference we have compared to a lot of our friends and very successful people in our business is that I don't own my accounts, and Cheryl Andrews in our firm doesn't own her accounts, and this one doesn't own their accounts. The accounts are owned by the firm. And then we determine who's best suited to service the accounts, depending on the type of business it is. But we always have a lead consultant or advisor, and we have a secondary advisor, and then we have a support person. So I attended $1 million roundtable meeting a long time ago. And there was a gentleman out of California who was running a 65-person operation. And he probably described our industry and our business the best I've ever heard it described. And he said, you have finders, minders, binders, and grinders. Now, some of us may be all of the above, but of course, your finder is your business development person. Your grinder is your technical person. Your minder is the customer service, maintenance, relationship management. And of course, your binder is your relationship person. So the way we work here is that if someone brings in a potential piece of business, they get a percentage of that business, regardless if they do the work on the account or not, because they will be the finder and they will be the relationship person in the binding. But the other people may do the work. So that's why we work on a team approach.
Seems to me that you're a bit of a service freak, which you and I have in common. Do you measure the cost of service, or do you see it as a way of developing business, or something else?
I would have told you pre-COVID that we just considered it necessary to do the business that we do. You have to remember that in our marketplace, we don't have estate planning offices down the street. We don't have group life and health marketing offices down the street. They're in other jurisdictions. They're in mainland Canada. Because remember, Canada only joined us in 1949, and we started our business in 1944. So when you take that into account, we've sort of had to become very knowledgeable and expert. Now, I will tell you, since COVID, we are doing so much extra work on service because the financial services industry have done such a poor job of getting their people back to work in a timely basis, whether it be at home or whether it be in the office. But today, whether it's a group retirement account or group life and health account, they can't go down the hall to talk to their manager or their supervisor to get a response. They now have to set up times and meetings for them to talk about whatever it is they wish to talk about. And we're finding it very frustrating, but it's also taking a lot more of our time for doing work that we're not financially getting paid for. However, because we have trained our clients to a level of service and expectation, we have to deliver on it.
Joe Dixon always warned me about that.
Yeah, well, he would know.
He would, or he would have. But so tell me, mentoring Joe Dixon, did you have an early career mentor other than Alec, other than your father?
No, I was blessed because of my father's connections in the industry. That I saw early on people like Jim Rogers in my business, and Jim was leading edge compared to what was going on in the industry in the early '80s. And while I didn't spend lots of time with him, but the time I did spend was always quality stuff, and I found him very knowledgeable. Then, of course, I got involved with industry stuff. I qualified for $1 Million Roundtable, core of the table, top of the table, and all that foolishness, and which I'm proud of. So I don't mean foolishness in a negative way. And then I was able to meet lots of people. I was involved with CALU from its inception. So whether it was John Humphreys from Vancouver or Jim Burton, you know, I got to meet an awful lot of people from that. But we attend industry events and professional development events. We don't attend, I have not attended a company conference since 1993. I don't need to be rah and slapped on the back. God bless them, but it just doesn't turn my crank. But I want value and substance that I can return to my client and give them additional value and return on their investment in their trust in us.
Are you a member of a study group?
No, we tried to do study groups, but study groups are distance was the biggest issue in those days. They probably would work better today because of the technology that we're on here today. But for us, but I will tell you, I have many clients in different industries, you know, and I'll just use the car dealer business as an example, where they've been big promoters of study groups, and they even, you know, share their information intimately, and it makes a big difference in terms of how these people can run their businesses. But it also makes a great difference when you're transitioning from one generation to another. So I'm a proponent of PAG or study groups, whatever term you wish to use, but they just weren't available here. And you have to remember, because of where we're located, if I only stayed here and listened to what I gain in the local marketplace, we wouldn't have been able to be as successful as we are. And as an example, Lawrence, you and I have known each other for a very long time. And of course, you knew my father beforehand. But I mean, you have a niche market. You have a very unique way of operating. But you've also been very generous with both your time and your advice and your expertise. And one of the advantages that our industry has, even though we may be in competition with each other from time to time, we share how we do things and how we do it. And I know you've been helpful to myself. You've been helpful to other people here in the firm when they come across a complicated disability insurance case. And again, we share this, and none of us are looking for anything from anything. So we're quite different in that regard. We're big. We have no problem sharing business with people as long as we have a professional, legally documented understanding. And you know, we do get calls from people in our industry who may have a certain area that they need dealt with. You know, we have, believe it or not, we still have a very large defined benefit practice. We have a large IPP practice, and we know defined benefits inside out and upside down. There are very few of us, or very few new advisors today, that would understand that. And it's important to understand it if you're in the retirement planning business, because you cannot give advice to a person who's a member of a defined benefit pension plan, which there are many, many, many of them, unless you fully understand how defined benefit plans work. So we have some advisors who come across a particular case, and they may say, well, you know, Brian or Cheryl, we have a particular case. Can we work on this together? And we come to an understanding, and we do that. And we don't go after that advisor's client. It's his or her client. We have a professional understanding. So we do that.
It seems to me you're one of the most independent-minded financial advisors, insurance agents who I know.
It's tattooed across my forehead. It was weaned. Pardon?
How important is it in your relationships with your clients?
It's extremely important in our relationship. We do what is in the client's best interest, not what is in our financial best interest. We have many cases over the years where that has been proven, where we could have made more money doing something somewhere else, but it wasn't a prudent thing to be done for the client. And my father was my mentor, and independent. He was known for his independence, and I'm probably as independent or more independent than he was.
First time I remember your dad, he was arguing with the president of an insurance company, and he won.
Yeah, well, there was one insurance company in Toronto where the senior executive were known for having disagreements with my father, but at the director level, there was a group, they were known as the Henley Club.
Medical director,
And,
Dr. Morton in particular.
and he knew more about what was going on in that particular insurance company than the CEO of the company did.
Sorry, a wonderful man. Tell me, clearly you are not a specialist because, I mean, you've told us about all the areas of practice that you're in, but you have a niche market.
Yeah, well, let's put it this way. I would probably still be one of the last generalists that you're going to hear about on a go-forward basis. But inside of our organization, we have a person who's responsible and leads the team on group life and health benefits. We have another person that leads the team on group retirement services. I lead the team on the high net worth estate planning business. And we then have what I call the individual corporate business, and we work that as well. But there are people in the firm, they're expected to be the go-to person on certain topics. So we're a lot like a law firm or an accounting firm, where you have your HR specialist, you have your labor relations specialist, you have your mergers and acquisition specialist, you have your civil litigation specialist. And so that's the way we work. And that's why I keep referring to the team approach. So if one of the people in our firm brought in accounting today, he or she may not have the expertise to do that work. But we will then put that person together with one of the people who has the expertise here in the firm, and they will work that case together to develop it and grow that account. And so it works really well because we develop a cohesive team.
Does your firm do joint work with other firms?
From time to time, yes, we have. It depends on the circumstances. We're not adverse to it at all. One of the things that we do, we have to know them and know how they operate and trust how they operate. And it doesn't mean we're right. I don't want to imply that at all. We're right and everyone else is wrong. It's just, you have to have a similar philosophy. So we're not product salespeople. We're in the advice business, but we have cases, we work together and we're not adverse to it. We've done it both locally, we've done it nationally, we've done it internationally. I mean, we do international group benefits. International group benefits, do you know where the head office for most international group benefits is in the world? It's Paris. Most people would say London or New York or LA or somewhere, but it's not. So, you have to know those markets if you're going to be in that business.
Now I have three questions. Let's start with a family enterprise. You and Alec were among the founding members of CALIB, but you were one of the founding members of FEA, or FEX as it was. Why did you do that, and what part does it play in your life now?
Well, I'm actually on the board of Family Enterprise Canada as we speak, and I have been on it since 2017. I got engaged with it. We have a lot of family enterprises as clients. I mean, just to give you an example, Lawrence, in my community, the guy that fixes my shoes is a family that's been in business since 1951. The local butcher shop that I use for meats and fish, et cetera, in this marketplace, they've been in existence for 108 years. And our two families have been doing business together for 100 of those 108 years. My dry cleaner is a family business person. My primary grocery account is a family enterprise from the West Coast of Newfoundland. So in this marketplace, just about all businesses are family enterprises. And in addition to that, we have lots of them that are fourth, fifth, sixth generations. We even have one friend of ours who is the 9th or 10th generation of family enterprise. And so that's unusual in a lot of marketplaces in North America. It's not unusual in Europe. So because of that, I went and got engaged. I did the FEA program, which was an excellent program. I was in my 50s when I did it. They said it was going to take 800 or 1,000 hours, and it took over 2,000 hours. But I will tell you, I've had a great group of 24, 25 people in my class. We had a great team who did a project. And I actually found it rejuvenating me in terms of how to deal and think with family enterprises. And we have a lot of them as clients. So it's just a natural fill. And I mean, let's put things in perspective, because I don't know how many people are listening today, but they may be surprised how many of their clients are actually family enterprises. But there's over 860,000 family enterprises in Canada that constitute greater than 51% of the private GDP in this country. They employ over 6 million people, and they contribute in excess of $2 billion a year to philanthropy. So Stats Canada, until 3 years ago, never even measured family enterprises because they were thrown into the small, medium size. Okay, so it's very important, and it's a group of business that I love dealing with.
So,
And you probably heard that in my passion.
that's very much that. So tell me, how important are new clients to your practice, as opposed to maintaining your client base? And where do you find your new clients?
Excellent question. Well, first of all, if my team was with me today, they'd say I sound like a broken record. We always have to be out prospecting for new business from all types of work that we do. If you ever sit back on your laurels on your existing accounts, you will have financial hardship sooner than you think. And here are a variety of reasons. One is clients retire. 2, clients die. 3, clients sell their businesses. And if they get bought out by a national or multinational, doesn't mean they're going to keep doing their business with you. So we're always out looking and prospecting and qualifying it. And, we've even put some of our teams on professional training programs. We had an individual in this marketplace who unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, who was a long-standing client of our firm, but he was probably the best business development person I ever met in my life. And then later in his life, he started doing training sessions for people in businesses, et cetera, et cetera. So he put a program together for our team, which they did. And, it was just really, really interesting. And I liked it because it wasn't listening to me. It was listening to someone else who had expertise in the area. And, but I also got great feedback, because he'd say, that one is a winner. That one you need to work on, et cetera, et cetera. And the feedback I got, they all enjoyed it.
You've heard me talk about the difference between referrals and recommendations. How important is that distinction to you?
Well, we never asked for referrals. And even though, I did all the way back to Grantham programs and, for the training and everything, but my father considered it unprofessional to ask, you do business for a client, and then you're going to say, now, can you give me 3 other names that, you would, that I could possibly call on to see if I can get some business out of them? So what we do is we want to be, and it's not unique to our firm, so I'm sure many people on your call today will have heard it. We want to be referable. And I'll give you an example. We have a long-standing client of ours who was at his place in Florida. A lot of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians go to Florida. Okay, so the Gulf, they're well known. And this friend of ours was out with somebody socializing, another business person from St. John's. And somehow they got talking about compensation and employees, And this other guy said, well, I need to review what I'm doing with regards to my benefits and my compensation for my workforce. And this was during COVID. Okay. And our client said, well, you should be talking to such and such, or, and such, and Brian Henley at the Alec Henley Group. And we knew nothing about that conversation. But one of our advisors here in the firm gets a call from this person, said, hi, my name is so-and-so. I run such and such a company. I've been recommended to talk to you by such and such, who, once we heard the name, we knew who it was. That's a really good bonding relationship concept.
That makes great sense. I mean, as you know, I'm not really big on asking for referrals and even having people try to recommend people to me. Tell me, when did you start setting goals for yourself and for your firm?
I'm a type A personality, Lawrence. So I'm competitive. And I hope by recognizing that I'm a type A, that I am recognize the strengths and weaknesses of being a type A. But one of the things that is, I'm a major goal setter. I like to hit targets. I like to hit numbers. I like to hit revenue numbers. But my real issue that I love to deal with is how many new clients can we bring in the door, and how much additional work can we do with our existing clients in areas. So just before I got on this call, I was on the call with one of our advisors and our digital social media consulting firm. And, we're using our website, and we're about to use other technologies to approach it differently than we have historically been approaching it. And, we're getting phenomenal success with this program so far. And I didn't see the total budget before I finished to get on this call. But, we're keeping current with the technology. We're keeping current with the way the world works. Younger people look at things online, and they think differently. So you have to find a way to target that market in addition to the other markets that we're targeting. And so we've hired an outside expert firm. They use language and conversations that is Greek to me, but fascinating. So that's what we do.
I had not been on your site for about 2 years, and I was very surprised to see you live and in person on the site when I clicked on the link, a video of you. That's very innovative. I hadn't seen that before. Right.
Well, we're doing lots of that. We have also there's a program that's going to be national called Health Explored with Dr. Mike Wall, WAHL. And we are the title sponsor. Our firm has been the title sponsor for the last 2 years, and now we're going to be for this upcoming year as well. And it's all about wellness and health. And of course, we're in the business of taking care of people. So it was a natural thing for our company to get involved with. But the other side of this is we, even though we're in our 80th year in business, the number of people who still think we're a law firm or an accounting firm. So we had to say, we have to make sure people know who we are and what we are and what we really do. And so we've been doing that. I'm doing cable television news programs. I'm doing radio programs. We have our groups are involved in different industry organizations. And so, networking today is totally different type of networking it was when I started in the business.
Just looking at your Facebook page or going down to St. John's and spending a bit of time with you, it seems to me that you are a great supporter of local business and you're known for it. And in St. John's, everybody, at least to my experience, knows who you are. How much has that been a core part of what you've done in your practice, in your firm?
Well, Lawrence, if anyone was on my Facebook page, they will see the following statement. Shop local, buy local, family enterprises matter. I have not been in Costco in the St. John's metropolitan area building, even though it's one of the most profitable Costco's in all of North America. I will buy local. I will do business locally. Because those primarily, even though we have publicly traded companies and we have international clients and so on and so forth, they have been the biggest supporters of our firm, and they've trusted us immensely. And we have been very fortunate to have done well in our businesses because we have outside business interests as well. And we believe in giving back to the community that helped us along. And that's a mantra that my mother's father and my great grandfather had. That's the mantra that my grandfather Henley had and my father had. And we're big believers in giving back to the community, and not just with the checkbook. You got to be involved. And you mentioned that I'm a past president of the Royal St. John's Regatta Committee. Well, I've been on the committee since '83. My father was on the committee since 1941. We've sponsored racing shows. It's the oldest continuing sporting event in North America. So it's important to us. And even today, I was just on a call this morning. I'm on the Basilica Heritage Foundation. And we have a group of us who are actually buying the Basilica block, or attempting to buy the Basilica block, to maintain its culture, heritage, and commitment. And I will call somebody out, Lawrence.
No.
So the classic example is, I have a friend of mine who goes on social media and loves Wayfair. Wayfair is one of these buying groups on social media. And you can buy the same product at a furniture supply store here with it in inventory for a cheaper price than you can buy it on Wayfair. So I got nothing against Wayfair, don't get me wrong. But this company owner who promotes that has buy local on all his advertising. But he's buying product from somebody who's not local. So practice what you preach.
Seems to me that if we don't deal locally, most of our exposure to things is in fact local business. You walk down the street, you see something, you go into a shop, you see something. If we buy then subsequently from one of these big international units, the local businesses probably suffer. You've been a big supporter of local business. Tell me, there are a lot of restaurants in St. John's, and in fact, top restaurant in Canada for many years has been in St. John's. Have you eaten in every restaurant in St. John's in the past year?
No.
How many have you missed?
Well, there's an awful lot of them. And I mean, I'm not overweight, thank God. But no, I normally I probably have lunch out 3 times a week on business development. And I would definitely be out one night a week on a Friday or Saturday night for a night out with friends who could be clients, but out for a nice evening. And I will probably have breakfast out once or twice a week as well. So yes, I am known in the restaurant business in the city. And Lawrence, you've actually been down here, and I think you've eaten in 5 or 6 or 7 of the better restaurants down here with me.
Better restaurants in the country, to be frank with you. Robert Plant has asked 2 very good questions. One is, what is your attitude towards succession and what are you doing about it? And the other is, where do you find people to come into your practice, into your firm?
Well, 2 great questions. Well, first of all, right now, I am approximately 15 years older than any other advisor in this firm. So I've got advisors in the 50 age range, and I've got them in their early 40s, and I got them in their 30s, and so on and so forth. I also have a daughter who joined us a little over a year ago, September of 2022. And she is brought in to become a financial advisor and business development. And she may be listening to this program here today. But I have a very good team. So I am not planning to slow down anywhere in the near future. But I'm not sure that I'm going to be in the office at 88 years of age like my father was. So we will deal with that, but I have a team that I have great faith in. And, you know, we will explore with the team how we want to proceed. The ideal solution would be we keep it independent. But I can also tell you that I have regular reach outs by entities who are interested in buying part or all of our business. And to this date, I have not entertained a proposal.
The answer to your question is yes, Laura's on the line. So where do you find new people to come into your firm? Because it sounds like, I mean, and do you educate them or do you find them already knowledgeable?
No, we normally educate them. What we do is searching for people. We have an interesting group here now. But one of the things that we've done, and you hear so many times when you're looking for, say, a group benefit analyst or a group retirement analyst, you need a minimum of 3 to 5 years experience. We think that is so unfair to the younger population, it's ridiculous. So we are not adverse to hiring people out of university, okay, or some form of post-secondary. And we believe we have the internal capabilities to train them. So for example, if you're on the group retirement or the group life and health side, benefit side, we enroll everybody. They, as part of the professional development, they get enrolled in the Certified Employee Benefit Specialist program. And the way we work it is we pay 50% of the cost of their professional development. And on successful completion of the course or the designation, we pay the other 50%. So we want our people well educated to be able to provide valuable advice to our clients, but also to become valuable members of the team. So we do hire from different places, you know, but we're not closed-minded that they have. We've had some people who come out of banks. We've had some people who come out of university. We've had, for example, we've had people who came in to work a part-time or on temporary work basis, and 20 odd years later, they're still here. Okay. So, and we have used search firms when necessary. It depends on the type of position we're looking for. You know, I caution everyone to be careful with search firms. You better pick the right one who knows your business and knows who you are and how you operate. Because I learned one thing many years ago. It had nothing to do with our industry, but my wife had a retail business, the Doghouse, and I attended a massive pet supply show in Chicago. And they had this guru of small independent business people on HR related issues. And he had one of the best lines I've ever heard. Slow to hire, quick to fire. If someone joins your firm and he or she do not fit the culture and click with your team, you better make some tough decisions, because they can become cancerous to your organization and they can hurt the performance with your team, which will hurt the performance with your clients.
Okay, so do you have your people on fixed income, incentive income, or some combination of those two?
We have our people on two bases. One is we have just about all except for me are on have a base salary. we also have, full benefits, professional development, compensation, da, 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 da. But we also be believers that if we're successful, we should share that success. So we have a profit sharing bonus program that can pay up to 15% of their basic wages for any employee in the organization, on the success of the business. In addition to that, for business development purposes, and it applies to anybody in the firm, if they bring an account in and that account turns into becoming a client, then 30% of the basic revenue that's generated from that account gets assigned to their compensation track for as long as they are with the firm. And we do that. So if it's somebody who's not actually in the consulting business, like we have, we just recently landed a new piece of business. It was brought in by one of our people, had no area of expertise in that, but had the relationship. And that person with one of the other consultants went out and did all the work. And actually the new client is effectively our client as of March 1 of this year. So that person will share 30% of the basic revenue in that account.
That was my next question. Can you discuss the split? You said find them, mind them. What was it? And grind them?
Find them, mind them, bind them, and grind them.
Bind them and grind them. How do you split it up on those four?
Well, binding is 30%, and the house keeps 30%. And then the other 40% is between the minding and the binding and the technical. So that's I just never heard anyone explain it any better than that. I mean, I just think it's a brilliant explanation.
And you say you can be in two parts, so it's possible there are two people doing mind them and two people doing find them or grind them, and it could be split up further distinguished.
Well, I mean, Lawrence, you have a team with you, but I'm sure you're bringing most of the business, if not all the business, in the door. Okay. And you're doing some of the technical work, but I'm sure you have other people in the shop that do technical work as well.
Yep.
Well, you can bring all the business in the door you want, but if you cannot do what the client wants and technically turn the product and services around and arrange them the way they need to be, you're not going to last long. So you need good technical people as part of your team.
And they have to know the clients, and they have to be around for long enough to really understand the philosophy and the core nature of this. I mean, Heather has been here now since 1996. And that's pretty important because everyone knows her. When I call your shop, they know me and I know them. That's very important, I'm sure, to your clients as well.
Yep.
Tell me.
Well, let's put it this way. I have an executive assistant with me, Ann Wells. She's been with us for 22 plus years. Most of the clients now, if they're looking for me, they don't call me. They call Ann. And then there's days that's really great, but there's other days that you sort of go, well, who's in charge here? But it works.
I always figure that Heather runs my life. Tell me, what's been the most important thing in your business, in your practice?
Good customer service.
What does that mean to you, and what does it mean to the clients?
Well, what it means is they need to know they trust us and that we're going to deal with them, and that we're going to get back to them on a timely basis. They also need to know that when times are tough, we will be there for them. And, there are many different definitions of times are tough, but, and we go that extra mile, and that is what we're paid to do. Now, some of the compensation we may have been paid at 25 years ago, and 25 years later, we still have to do what we have to do. But that's what we signed on to when we agreed to be their advisor. And so you have to honor that.
So times are tough. You
Well,
deal,
I'll give you an example, Lawrence.
Okay.
It's a very unfortunate example. But I was chair of CALO, and I was in Toronto at the Royal York negotiating a deal with Advocates because there were two sister organizations. And during that, we had a helicopter crash offshore Newfoundland called the Flight 491 helicopter crash. And these were serious negotiations that we were in. And I got word when we took a break, I checked in and the phone had been lit up like a Christmas tree. And the majority of the employees on that helicopter crash were employees of clients of ours. So if you've ever been on the 19th floor of the Royal York, they still have the old-fashioned wooden telephone booths. So I got in that booth, got a hold of my team, put a plan of action in place, and let's get this moving. I said, reach out to all the clients to let them know that we're there and that don't worry about anything. We'll take care of things when things need to be done. We then contacted a number of the major markets to advise them of the circumstances, to say that we were on top of the file and that we would be there. And we expected full cooperation from these life insurance companies and accidental death and dismemberment companies to deal with this. I was in negotiations. We came back in. Jim Burton was part of the team, as was Susan Santamon, and there was members from the advocate side. And you know, they all couldn't believe that I was staying calm, cool, and collected. And they wanted to know, you know, should we just stop the negotiations? And I said, look, I can't get anywhere. I have to get to the airport. The earliest flight I can get is at such and such a time. So we might as well continue on and see if we can conclude our deal, which we did conclude successfully for the benefit of both organizations. But within 10 business days, we had all claims processed, paid, and we're starting to give personal financial advice to the beneficiaries. We had clients who had never had an employee die before. They were super appreciative because we stepped up when it was time to step up. That's what we're paid for. And it wasn't just me, it was our entire team. And we lost people we knew quite well. I lost a relative on that. It was his first flight out for a new job. But that's when I say you step up, that's what you're there for.
right? Keeping on that line, you and I have had discussions in past about succession within corporations, employee succession, not ownership succession, but CFOs, CEOs, chief administrative officers. And you've talked about educating these people. How much of a part of your business is that?
Oh, that's a very significant part of our business because I don't want to sound arrogant, but we get to know an organization really well, the type of work that we do. And so we often are told things that even the owners aren't told. And one of the things is continuity planning is the term we use, not succession planning, just to be picky for a moment. You know, the CFO or the CFO or whatever term you wish to use, you know, you have to have proper planning for that because, you know, it may mean that you need to bring someone in for 2 years in advance of the CFO stepping out the door. So there's a smooth transition for that. And you've got a plan, you got to financially budget for it, and then you got to see if the right person fits. And so that's very important. And it's really important with family enterprises because you can get a great CFO to come in or an HR person, but they have no experience with a family business. And they think it should be done this way and that way, and they don't understand the family dynamic, okay? Because, you know, I have advised many CEOs and COOs and CFOs of family enterprises that they may want to do part or all of the family enterprise advisory program. Because, you know, running family businesses and being a senior manager in a family enterprise is quite different than it is in a public sector, private sector, a non-family business. You don't have the family dynamics. And
It's
you mean,
just-
you know, just to put it in perspective, Lawrence, my father was the second youngest of 13 children, the youngest of 9 boys. So there was no room in my grandfather's business for my father at his young age. Thus, he went out and set up his own business. All right. You know, if you're of a Scottish tradition, even in 2024, the oldest son and the youngest son get the business. The others get other things, but they don't get any interest in the business. Now, I'm not going to get into what's right or wrong, but I mean, we've had to advise people that, you know, they got a son in the business. Well, the son's not cut out to be the CEO in the future. But by the way, mom and dad, you got a daughter down here. She's got what it takes. And you should be looking at her as an option rather than son as an option. Well, if that son happens to be mommy's boy, you have to be very diplomatic how you have that conversation.
How important is that to your retention of clients over time?
It's very important to us because we've been fortunate enough that people have trusted us that next generations will come and talk to us. And they know they can talk to us in total confidence. We are not going to listen to what son 1 or daughter 2 had to say and go back to mom or dad or grandma and granddad and report it back. So we become a family confidant. And that really works. And even when parents are concerned about a child, but they know that the child is able to communicate with us and we won't breach confidence, the parents know they're in good hands. So, and we do a lot of that.
So you're in good hands with the Henley.
Yeah, but I think someone else already has the patent on the good hands.
So last question, Brian, what advice would you give to someone, whether they're in the business or not?
My advice to anyone is it's not a dry run. So whatever you're doing, make sure you're happy with whatever it is that you're doing. And if you find that thing that's your passion, God bless you, wish you all the best. But if you're not happy and you're not content, it's not a dry run. So go find something that you will be happy with. And one last closing comment with lots of bias in this statement is it's not a dry run. So financially plan to be around for a long time. So come talk to us.
Excellent advice. Thank you, Brian. It's been wonderful. Next week, Minette Malevsky from Montreal will be interviewed by Barry Pascal. Minette has a very long history in the business. She came into the business because the business was there and she had it, and grew it from a very different way than any of the others or the rest of us did. Minette has also been incredibly involved both with women's affairs and growing equality in Canada, but also with philanthropy. And her story is one that I think we can all do to hear. So I'll be listening to Barry interview her as well. Thank you very much. Every Thursday now through the end of September, we're scheduled. We'll be through the end of December, I would imagine within the next month. So it looks as though people are willing to be interviewed, and we look forward to interviewing them again. The interviewers will be Barry Pascal, Paul Bourbonniere, Dave Patriarch, Susan St. Amand, Brad Brain, Jim Ruda, and Ted Polsey, in addition to myself. So you won't get bored with me, hopefully, over this period as well. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you all next week. Oh, I'm sorry, and there will be recordings available and transcripts as soon as we get them ordered. Thanks, bye-bye.